same old buzzer. Somebody else hauling him home by the nape of the neck.
Get up them steps, you little good-for-nothing, you no-count. Get up them stack, Casey. Sleeping out the Lord knows where, same as your no-count mother used to do. Keeping me up all night, tossing and worrying till all hours. Prowling around the cold streets to dig you out of your hiding place. Shame my face in front of everybody. I heard you open your doors down there. Go on and listen. Pray over your features. Try to keep them in the good ways. Sneaking and nibbling and stealing my rent money. All the time looking at me cold as a clam.
Bad blood, like I always said. And I know who you've got it from.
A heavy burden for an old woman. A heavy burden for a little boy. That's the way it keeps on going.
I won't be here long. Doggone kiss me here. Doggone kiss me here.
Because the coroner's jury is stacked against Negroes. The grand jury is stacked against Negroes. The press, the radio, the television, and the newspapers are stacked against Negroes. But please, the Los Angeles Police Department is stacked against Negroes. He is stacked against all Negroes, all except those whom he has appointed to high positions. Once the police have convinced the white public that the so-called Negro community is a criminal element, they can go in and question, brutalize, murder unarmed, innocent Negroes, and the white public is gullible enough to back them up. This makes the Negro community a police state. This makes the Negro neighborhood a police state. It's the most heavily patrolled. It has more police in it than any other neighborhood, yet it has more crime in it than any other neighborhood. How can you have more cops and more crime? Why? It shows you that the cops must be in cahoots with the criminals.
Here is a map that explains how this plantation was organized. It was almost a little community by itself. Most of the sections of land were devoted to one crop, such as cotton. Other sections contained orchards, vegetable gardens, and pastures, the source of food for the people and the work animals. The buildings included the planter's home, a mill, workshops, and a row of small cabins for the slaves, who did almost all the work.
Who did I work for?
Yeah.
You mean when I was a slave?
Yeah, when you were a slave, who did you work for?
Well, I belonged to Burnley's when I was a slave. My mother belonged to Burnley's. But we was all slave children. And soon after, when we found out that we were free, well, then we were bound out to different people, Ficklin, and Andrews, and all such people as that. And we'd run away and wouldn't stay with them. Well, then we'd just go and stay anywhere we could, lay out at night and anywhere. We had no home, you know. We just turned out like a lot of cattle. You know how to turn cattle out in the pasture? Well, after freedom, you know, colored people didn't have nothing. Colored people didn't have no beds when they were slaves. They all slept on the floor. Pallet here, pallet there. And there were some freeborn colored people where they had a little education, but there was very few of them where we was. And we all had a, what you call, I might call it now, a jail sentence. It just seemed as we were in jail. Now I couldn't go from here, across the street, or I couldn't go to nobody's house without I have a note or something from my master. And if I had that pass, that was what we call a pass. If I had that pass, I could go wherever he sent me, and I'd have to be back. You know, whoever he sent me to, they'd give me another pass, and I'd bring that back, so it's to show how long I'd been gone. We couldn't go out and stay an hour or 2 hours or something like that. They send you. Now, say for instance, I go to the Shirley's place, I'd have to walk, and I'd have to be back maybe in an hour. Maybe they'd give me an hour. I don't know just how long they'd give me. But they'd give me a note so there wouldn't nobody interfere with me and tell who I belonged to. And when I come back, why, I carry it to my master and give that to him. That'd be all right. But I couldn't just walk away like the people just now, you know. It was what they call, we were slaves. We belonged to people. They sell us like they sell horses and cows and hogs and all like that. Have an auction bench, and they put you up on the bench and bid on you, the same as you're bidding on cattle, you know.
Was that in Charlotte that you were a slave? Was that in Charlotte or Charlottesville?
That is in Charlottesville.
Charlottesville, Virginia.
Sell the women, sell the men. Oh, and then if they had any bad ones, they'd sell them to the nigger traders, what they call the nigger traders, and they'd ship them down south. They'd sell them down south.
And after a while, they passed my cell door with this young woman, Miss Annelle Ponder, and one of her eyes looked like blood, and her hair was standing up on her head, and her clothes had been torn from the shoulder down to the waist. And then 3 white men came to my cell, and one of them was a state highway patrolman because he was wearing a little silver plate across his pocket that said John L. Bassinger. And he asked me where I was from, and I told him I was from Rouville. And he said, I'm going to check that. And he went out, and I guess he called Rouville. And they didn't like me in Rouville because I worked with voter registration there. And when he came back, he said, you damn right. They said, you're from Rouville, all right. And we going to make you wish you was dead. And they led me out of that cell into another cell. And he gave a Negro prisoner a blackjack. And he ordered me to lay down on a bunk bed. And a Negro prisoner said, do you want me to beat her with this, sir? And he said, you're damn right, because if you don't, you know what I'll do for you. And I laid down on the bunk like he ordered me to do. And the first Negro beat me. He beat me until he was exhausted. And after he beat, the state highway patrolman ordered the second Negro to take the blackjack. And during the time he was beating, I began to work my feet because that was a horrible experience. And the state highway patrolman ordered the first Negro that had beat to sit on my feet while the second one beat. And I just began to scream where I couldn't control it. And then the white man got up and began to beat me in my head. I have a blood clot now in the artery to the left eye and a permanent kidney injury on the right side from that beating. These are the things that we go through in the state of Mississippi, just trying to be treated like a human being. But still, this is called a part of America.
Oh, Joe, Joe, your gal is dead, and what you reckon that you'll be praises, and blessed be the name of the Lord. Rock of my